The movie begins during the night where we see a car driving through the woods. The car stops and a man named Cam gets out and goes to the trunk. He tells his scared wife Jan to jump out of the car. Cam pulls a dead body out of the trunk and drops it to the ground. He starts pulling the body deeper into the woods, while Jan follows behind with a shovel. When they get deep enough into the woods, he tells Jan to keep a lookout, and he starts digging a hole. After they bury the body, the couple get in the car and quickly drive off. The scene then cuts to 17th of May 1977 in Northern California, where we see a girl named Colleen try to hitchhike a ride. After a while, a car driven by the couple stops to help her out and get her to Westwood. After she gets in, they start making small talk, and Colleen tells them that she wanted to surprise her friend for a birthday. After driving for a while, they stop at a gas station for Colleen to go to the bathroom. When she leaves, Cam goes to the trunk and takes out a wooden box and puts it in the back seat. After they continue their journey, the couple decide they want to go up to the mountains to look at some caves. Colleen is not fond of the idea, but reluctantly agrees. After a while, they stop the car, and Jan gets out and starts walking away suspiciously. She tells Colleen to follow, and that the caves are just up ahead. Colleen starts following. But suddenly she freezes when Cam puts a knife to her throat and tells her to do as he says. Cam puts a blindfold on her and takes her to the back seat and puts her head in a box. Next, we see them taking Colleen into their home and putting her down in the basement. Upon entering the basement, Cam ties her up and strips her down. To Colleen's horror, he begins torturing her, while Jan watches on in silence. Kim then orders Jan to go and get the box. She brings the box to him, and he puts it on Colleen's head and ties her to the table. Colleen has no idea why she has been kidnapped or what will happen to her next. The next morning, we see Cam tying up his shoes and going to work, while Jan sits at the table feeling guilty about what they did. After Cam goes to work, Jana starts praying. When Colleen's screaming startles her, Jan takes a shotgun and goes down to the basement. Downstairs, Colleen begs for her life and asks to be let go. Jane looks anxious but ignores Colleen's cries. Later that night, Cam returns home with a porta potty and goes to the basement. He unties Colleen without removing her blindfold and tells her to pee in the potty. He watches her relieve herself and then begins torturing her again. Later that night in bed, Jan tells Cam that she is worried about his behavior and what he does. He tells her that she knew what he was like and the things he did before they got married. None of this should come as a surprise to her. He tells her that they need to keep Colleen until they figure out what to do with her. Jan reluctantly agrees, but as long as he promises that he will not sleep with Colleen. The next day, Cam makes a wooden box where he decides to keep Colleen for the time being. When he is finished, he puts Colleen inside the box and seals it shut inside. We see Colleen panicking and getting flashbacks to our happier times. She remembers her father offering to pay her bus fare to California, but she refused. Now she is in a terrible situation, not knowing what will happen to her. Next, we see Colleen's family receiving a call telling them that she has not arrived. The family are shocked and decide to tell the police and fill out a missing person report. Unfortunately, the police tell them that as Colleen is an adult, she is legally allowed to go where she wants. In the next scene, it has been 231 days since Colleen's abduction, and we see Cam and Jan arriving home. After January's surgery, their neighbor and landlord breeds them and asks Cam when he can get the basement furnace serviced. Inside, Cam finds a magazine with a slave contract and asks Jan to print it out. He threatens her and tells her that he works with the company, a slave owner group with immense power, who will kill Colleen and her family if she ever tries to escape. Under pressure and feeling like she has no choice, she signs the contract. The following day, Kim gives Colleen the name Kay and tells her to refer to him as master and his wife as ma'am. He gives her a set of rules, with one of them being the primary, called the attention rule. Whenever he says attention, she has to get fully naked and put her hands in the air. Cam suddenly says attention, and Kay follows his orders. When Jan walks in, she tells her to get dressed immediately. A few days later, while Cam is on the way home, the neighbor asks about the furnace again. When he gets inside, he tells Jan that they need to move out of the house. It's September 1978, and Jan is giving birth to their son in their new remote home, while traumatized Colleen is imprisoned in the box under their bed. After the successful delivery of their child, Cam lets her out of her box to hold his newborn daughter Amber. In the next scene, we see Cam taking Colleen outside. They get in his truck and drive to the forest to fetch some wood. Colleen expresses her wish that she would like to see her family. Cam denies it at first, but tells her if she proves her loyalty, she might be able to send a letter. While using his axe to cut up some wood, Cam accidentally cuts himself on his leg and falls to the ground. Colleen sees an opportunity to run away, but instead, she decides to try and help Cam and takes him back to the house. She tends to his wound, which gets Jan very jealous. She gets angry and pushes her out the way to tend to her husband. That night, Jan tells Cam that she didn't like it. When she saw him with Colleen earlier in the day, he tells her that both she and Colleen can share him. Jan reluctantly agrees, and we see Cam unlocking the box and asking her to join them. Cam starts making love to Colleen as Jan watches on. Suddenly, she gets up and rushes to the bathroom to be sick. They both get into an argument, and Jan tells Cam never to touch Kay again. It's been 395 days since Colleen's abduction, and her condition has deteriorated. We see her getting scraps of food from Jan, and then she goes back to her box. When she looks up to her surprise, she sees a grown-up Amber standing in front of her. That's when Colleen realizes how much time has gone by since she was kidnapped. Later, the family go out on a trip, and they leave Colleen alone at home. She starts drowning in her thoughts and having visions about her talking to a priest and her mother praying for her. She panics and breaks open the bottom of the box. A few days later, the family arrived back from their trip. Cam finds that the box has been broken, and Kay is not there. He calmly searches for her, and surprisingly, he finds her hunched up in their bathroom. It is now September 1983. And to Colleen's surprise, Cam tells her that the company has allowed her to visit her family. She can't believe the news and is very excited. But he tells her that she will have to prove her trust before she can go. They go outside where Cam gives her a shotgun and tells her to shoot herself in the head. Colleen is shocked by this and doesn't understand what is going on. With tears in her eyes, she takes the gun and pulls the trigger. She is relieved when the gun is empty. This was all part of Cam's sick mind games. Later, we see them go to Colleen's family. While on the road, Cam tells Colleen that the company is watching her and that she can't say anything about being a slave. When they arrive, Colleen is filled with emotion and hugs her family tightly. The family can't believe that she is still alive after all this time and thought she was dead. After we see Cam leaving in a hurry, which Colleen's sister finds strange. Later, when the Bonnie and the rest of the family ask her where she has been all this time, Colleen doesn't answer and goes to bed. Later, we see Colleen in the kitchen helping her sister with the dishes. Bonnie asks her again what happened, but just as she is about to answer, Cam comes in through the door. He greets everyone and asks Colleen to pack her bags as they need to leave. To everyone's surprise, he tells them that he and Colleen are getting married. Colleen's family are not sure what to think, but strangely they believe Cam and ask Colleen why she didn't mention anything. Earlier, she tells them she didn't say anything because it wasn't official. We then see them both get in the car and leaving. Sometime later, back at the house, we see Colleen and Cam laying in bed talking about starting a family together. Jan overhears this and has had enough. The next morning, decides she wants a divorce. She decides to leave the house, taking Amber. When Cam tries to stop her, she tells him she didn't want any of this, and she will go to the police. He tells her that she wouldn't dare, she will also go to prison. Later, distraught Cam is sitting in the living room, and Colleen tries to make him feel better. Kim asks what she is doing and proceeds to take out his anger out on her. He strips her clothes and proceeds to take her to the basement he made in his shed. He locks her up and drives off. Next, we see Jan praying and crying profusely in the church, while Colleen is sitting in the basement in the freezing cold, while it fills up with rainwater. In the next scene, we see Jan arriving back at the house where she opens the basement door to set Colleen free. Jan tells Colleen that Cam is very dangerous, and he killed a girl before who he had kidnapped because of her injuries while being tortured. Suddenly, we see Cam returning to the shed with a shovel, but to his surprise, Colleen is not there. The scene switches to Jan driving Colleen to a bus stop. Colleen worries about Jan and tells her she can stay with her if she is nowhere to go. Jan realizes that Colleen has a genuine heart in feeling guilty. She tells her that the company is fake and there was no such thing. Hearing this, Colleen is devastated and can't believe what she has been through the whole time. She was held as a prisoner and made to do sick things worse than an animal. We then see Colleen getting on a bus making her way to her family. In the last scene, we see Cam, who is in his room all alone crying uncontrollably, realizing that he has lost it all, and the movie ends. And thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to hit subscribe button. See you in the next video. Bye!